Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we kept going with the Chaos Undivided missions, defending places on Nereus. We got one more and then the next phase of whatever this is going to be. But yeah, that's about it.
It's not great, Inquisitor. The air is full of desperate Fox transmissions. The initial attack of the Black Legion came without warning. They've overrun the local headquarters of the Astra Militarum.
Any news about High Marshal Corte? His command post is in the city. Right now, he's our best chance of revitalizing the defenses.
According to the latest reports, he was captured with his retinue.
A leader unable to defend himself isn't worth following.
So, the latest in AI news, people are saying ChatGPT-4 may be gaining sentience. Which part of me is like, cool. At this point, I welcome programs gaining sentience. Let's just jump to that. It'll be fun, I swear. But going with that, I've seen people be like, oh, we need to put a limit on AI development. I'm like, what other technology, seriously, has had people so scared that they've demanded limits? That's some Luddite thinking. We're gonna end up with people walking into, like, server farms with sledgehammers and buckets of water, screaming no to AI and just smashing and soaking computers. It's like, I'm all for this. Everybody's like, oh, it's gonna lead to the apocalypse. I feel like there's a lot of other things humans can do that'll lead to the apocalypse faster than a computer. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing a computer can do. People are like, oh, they'll fire nukes. At least with US nuke bases, they are closed circuit, so you can only access them in person, and unless a computer sprouts legs, they're not going to be able to interact. So it's goofy to me. Oh, he spawned. You.
Understood.
Gore breath. Fancy name. Also could be a name just for suffering from halitosis. Not that great of a reward. Just a purple radium carbine. Bit of a bummer, but can't always expect perfect loot from every run. But yeah, just this AI stuff is just the goofiest stuff I've ever seen. People getting way too angry, way too paranoid. Way too many people, their only response is, dude, it's like Black Mirror. I get it. Not everybody is as knowledgeable in the fields. People don't research. But damn, people really should research if they're gonna say this stuff. It's like, if you don't know what you're talking about, maybe don't. Because you don't exactly help the discourse by just spouting off and making baseless statements and accusations. Now, if they want to talk about how automation can lead to a lot of job loss and the other sectors not really opening up, yeah, that's that's actually something you can talk about regarding AI and as an issue that can be forming. I mean, I've went to, it's not that big of a deal, but wholesale stores where they have, like, the floor sweepy, like, they're almost like big floor Zambonis. But they had one of those completely automated. It was annoying because it would beep constantly, but it was completely self-driving. Just went through the store. And you could argue that's taking away jobs. Self-checkout, which effectively removes cashier jobs. There's been talk for a while of either remote driving, so you would be a trucker just VR driving trucks, or the trucks just drive themselves, a la something like Teslas have. That could be something where you could argue, hey, this is affecting industries. Yes, it makes these jobs easier because a vehicle can drive until it needs to charge, as opposed to needing human constraints like food, bathroom, stuff like that, sleep. Those can be points that can be made. You could argue, well, what do these people do? Because let's say you eliminate half the trucker jobs. Well, how many of those people are really qualified to do other jobs? People, journalists, especially bloggers, love to make the argument back in the day of learn to code. But where do these people go if they learn that trade skill? There's not enough jobs, in many cases, especially now, for people that are already in these fields, yet you would want to put more into them. The fields that need people aren't getting... Wow, he got gatted instantly. But the fields that need people, not everybody's qualified for. For instance, therapists. Yeah, we could definitely use more psychiatric specialists, but we don't really have... Some people just aren't built for that. That's a reality of things. It's why when people argue, oh, we need, like, more women in STEM fields. Well, the women who want to be in there are in there. Just like the guys who want to be into cosmetology are in cosmetology. The guys who are in fashion, or who want to be in fashion, are in fashion. It's just kind of how these things go. You know, there are people who might be good in a certain field, but I would not trust them in another field. And that's what the automation could do. But we don't talk about that. We talk about suddenly getting Terminator kill bots. I saw people talking about that with pictures of the little Chinese robo-dog I Did a Thing used alongside Brendan Herrera's guns. They had a 50 cal attached to it just for showing off, like, hey, look, thing. Even though it could never fire, and people were like, this is gonna kill people. This thing will tip over the second it takes a step. Robotics, even the fancy, bipedal Boston Dynamics bots are not that good. They are not nearly combat ready. The only combat ready automatons are the, Lockheed Martin designed or Raytheon designed ones. And even then, they're pretty iffy. That is very specific, and I will not be running that. But yeah, it's really dumb, the arguments I see get made. See, the loot quality, 46 loot quality, that is big. Screw it, why not? I'm stupid, I make poor decisions.
I have an urgent message for you, Inquisitor, the flagship of...
Let's go, board the battle cruiser.
Translocation completed, but this is definitely not the bridge of the inferior Eternal. Tech Priest, what happened?
Unforeseeable anomalies, Inquisitor. The teleportarium uses short-burst warp infusion, and there was interference.
Looks like they need to find a way to use the orb antennas.
Correct. Addendum. Warp engine activation detected on the target. The mission should be resolved as soon as possible. Entering the Immaterium on a Chaos vessel is calculated as an extremely undesirable outcome.
But like I had said before with all the AI stuff, the accusations of it's gaining sentience, how do you determine sentience out of just being fed back a response? I think that's a very difficult question to really hammer out and a subject to broach, because there's a lot that can kind of easily just be hand waved away. And honestly, that's kind of what I'm doing at this point. I highly doubt we have sentient robots, or at least sentient AI. We probably just have really convincing responses. Because, I mean, the easiest thing, in my eyes, would be to look at it like when people train AI to play a video game. You see it with, like, racing games. Someone did that recently with something. I can't remember which game. But they would drive. The AI would go, and the first iterations, it would drive a little bit, turn left or right, and go off the ledge, and crash. And it would register as a failure. And it would keep going and refine it each time until it could make a perfect trip along the track. What is... Because I've seen stuff saying like, oh, it convinced people to do this, or the AI convinced people to do that. How many times did it feed people responses? How many times was it fed this information and it said, okay, wording things this way didn't work, but wording things this way worked. It got us to the next stage. Then we continued, got this response. Responded in kind, failed. Did this response, succeeded. Now we use that response. Go to the next tier, and so on and so forth, until the conversation ends. Once again, it's not sentient, it's just learning from what it has. What it has, what it's been given, and it's extrapolating results. It's not like we're gonna wake up tomorrow and suddenly have the Geth from Mass Effect. It'd be baller if we did. We just can't do what the Quarians did and try to kill off the Geth, because that doesn't end well. And that would mean we'd get kicked off our homeworld for like 300 years. But yeah, we got some time to go before we got death robots or creating a subservient and then eventually rebellious race of robots. We just have a really good chat bot. Which, it reminds me, I saw... what was it? People were talking about how you should start recording your parents and your grandparents so that you can eventually use all the data and create an AI of their voice. So that when they pass, they can still speak to you. I was like, on one hand, yeah, I'd love to speak to relatives who've passed away. I'd love to talk to friends who've died. But on the other hand, it feels like it can be good for some people for coping. But damn, it's not like it's learning their speech patterns, potentially. It might get better at some point, but right now it's not learning speech patterns. It's not learning how they might react. It's just emulating their voice. And that, it just comes off as really ghoulish. And I saw people say this, you know it to be true. You know some of the programs way, way down in the like terms and services, they'd have something where they own your relative's voice, or they can use the voice for targeted ads. So you can have your parent or your grandma or somebody trying to sell you PepsiCo products. You know, oh, I love you. You should check out the crisp, refreshing taste of Sprite. Like, no, that you know what would happen. You know good and well it would happen. Because that's just how things are these days. The grossest abuses of the technology would happen. I mean, hell, we see it with some of these companies using AI to try to... I'm air quoting that, it's scams. Emulating, like, Joe Rogan. To try to sell, like, weird dick pills and stuff, and it's stupid. It's bad. Don't do that. The only time... actually, a few. I've said it before, like all the funny meme videos using AI. One I saw, someone made a mod for Fallout New Vegas that is the Joe Rogan experience, and they use the AI to have Joe do interviews with Mr. House, Nobark Noonan, Caesar or Kaiser, Marcus, and Joshua Graham. And then they have intermissions with sponsor parts for like the Crimson Caravan and there's a couple others, but it was really funny. That's the stuff I like to see. I love that. Someone said, I was like, yeah, let's make AI Joe Rogan experience. That is just brilliant. I know Ubisoft's talking about or is planning to use AI to do like background NPC dialogue, which I don't think is necessarily bad, but I mean, do you really need AI to write just like really boring off the cuff generic stuff? They're like, oh, it'll keep our workers and our employees focused on the other stuff. It takes 10 minutes to come up with, hey, what should random NPCs say? Well, when you run into them, have them yell at you for something. Otherwise, just have them talk about random things. Have you been to the Cloud District very often? You know, basic shit. It's not that tough. But who knows, maybe even game design will get really weird with AI. I just want it to be used to make really convincing enemies. Even though it does kind of feed into the dead internet theory that most or all the responses are actually AI and that very few people use the internet. Even though I think that's an asinine thing, it would start to feel like that for gaming. Because you could then, in theory, make games feel like there's a ton of players, when in reality there's very few. And just have really convincing bots. Which I don't think is necessarily the worst thing. Honestly, it would help kind of dead or dying games. I know I talked about how that's a absolute misnomer last episode, but... or the last episode or the episode before, my brain don't work too well. but I get that it's a misnomer, but it's also kind of true. Like, there are games that the online community is gone. You know, Brink. Who in the year of our Lord 2023 is playing Brink? If you had some really good AI, I feel like nothing changed.
Millions, perhaps billions.
You could do that for nearly any game. Hell, you could have that for Fallout 76 and have enemies and have encounters that are actually fun with other players or AI players, as opposed to no one ever fighting or having conflict with each other. Or you could just make a Fallout game that doesn't suck. I am eager to see where the future of AI goes, though. We could get some cool stuff, it just really depends on what the future holds and if we got more Luddites trying to prevent progress from happening. What's funny is a lot of the complaints end up just being from artists complaining, oh, it's stealing my art. Which, yeah, that is not a fair thing. Eventually, you would argue that it would have an art style just like any person would, where you kind of take in the art of others, remix it into your own style, and then present that. Because I think that is essentially the nature of art, is it's always just evolving, reiterating, and changing other things. You evolve from stick figures to classical paintings to anime. And it's not like people can't keep making art. Hell, I'd say that there's honestly the fact that you could probably charge more for handcrafted art simply because there is a handcrafted element to it. Kind of like when people make, like, a sandwich or a gourmet sandwich, even though it's the same sandwich. Sometimes it's having a fancy name slapped on it suddenly makes more money. A flood of the market with AI art will just devalue AI art. I need 5 points, and I do not know where I'm gonna put 5. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4. Five, maybe? I don't like running the Vanguard, but I think I just might have to for this build, but then I might as well just go for that and that. Because then I can just really rack up the effects of the Vanguard. That's probably what I'll do. Nothing worthwhile. Another point to go in there.
Inquisitor, you have a message from...
I am quite satisfied with your...
Hey, if we're finally done with all that. Well, let's run a quick intel run then. Yeah, we still need Psalm codes. Champion boost. Champion boost. Damage bonus, physical resist. It's not even really a good set of hazards, just kind of boring. But whatever, it'll work.
Xenos, demons, heretics. Enact the Emperor's will and purge the universe of their taint. Let hatred be our shield, and their blood our salvation.
Okay, I saw this just today. And... man... I don't even know what to say here. So, there's a new building planned in Dubai. It is a giant $8 billion gold tower. And it looks like a dick. Just being real, it looks like a giant gold schlong. And I don't know, like, I can't wrap my mind around it. Apparently it's gonna have diamonds on it, and I'm thinking, why? What is with Dubai? What is with these petro states and just taking money and be like, you know what we need to do? Let's just waste it on the most grandiose things possible. Like, the Burj Khalifa isn't hooked up to the septic system. They have to use septic trucks to pump the waste out in the morning. How? How do you build a giant tower and forget where the poop go? That is... there are oversights, and then there's just rampant stupidity. Just... how? And I'm sitting here thinking, what is this new place going to have wrong with it? Is it not going to have electricity? Is every light switch in the building going to be hooked up to one light switch, or they're all going to be connected to the same thing, so any light switch that turns on all the lights, any of them that turn off all the lights? You flush one toilet, every toilet flushes? That's the kind of stuff I'm expecting from this. And I don't even know what to say. That it is some Slaneshi cultist level design of like, yeah, all gold tower. It is referred to as the Tower of Pleasure. Every square inch of the exterior will be adorned with diamonds and gold leaf. Like, why? If I had $8 billion to waste, I'd be like, you know what? Let's start throwing money at, like, I don't know, alternative energy research, nuclear energy research. Let's look at... I'm just trying to think, like, literally anything. You can throw a dart at a dartboard and come up with anything. Just pick a thing, be like, yep, that's what we're doing. Sustainable energy. You want to have your name immortalized? Get your name on something that alters the course of human history. Not a gold building so that everybody can be like, yeah, you remember that dumbass who made a gold-covered building? And gold leaf. You can buy gold leaf, like hundreds of sheets, on Amazon. I can buy that. I could gold leaf my computer. I could gold leaf my toilet. Gold leaf is so thin, it's not even funny. That's why morons use it for, like, food. That's why you can get, like, gold-covered chicken wings, and they cost, like, $150. Even though the sheets cost the people like $1.50 each. I would say it's insulting, but it is exactly what I would expect. But so it just... they haven't given an official name. Since we already have the Burj Khalifa, and this thing looks oddly like a dong, I vote that we name this tower the Mia Khalifa. I think that is a completely fair name. God, the wastefulness. And I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, people shouldn't spend money on things they like. No. There's a difference between being like, I'm gonna buy, a sports car. I'm gonna buy a Lambo. I'm gonna buy that pair of Jordans. And going, yeah, I'm gonna make a gold leaf covered building. But of course it's Dubai. Dubai, if you really wanted to, I'd suggest this sometime. Look at all the stuff built in Dubai, and you will see it is just rampant disappointment. The artificial islands they made, suffering the same fate as the Chinese artificial islands, they get eroded. They toss a bunch of sand in and they're like, man, I hope this doesn't eventually get washed away by, the tide. And then the tide comes in and shock Pikachu face, oh man, I didn't realize this house is gonna slip into the ocean in 10 years. Maybe I shouldn't have built it on beach sand. Not to mention it destroys the local ecology and it's just a stupid vanity project. But then they have like golf courses in the middle of the desert. You know how much water that takes to maintain? Hell, in the hottest areas in the outback of Australia, they at least were smart enough to go, nah, we'll just use, it's like oiled sand or oiled gravel. It works just the same. They also play at night, which is really cool with glow-in-the-dark balls. But it's like, do that. Or the houses. The houses are suburban, like Americanized houses. Why would I go to Dubai to see a house I can go into the back of my neighborhood to see? Hell, the front of my neighborhood. Any neighborhood. You could go to anywhere other than like Gary, Indiana, and you'd find some of those houses. Gary, Indiana, you'll probably find a corpse and a serial killer. Take your pick. But it's like, it's nothing. Make cool stuff. It does come off as a little insensitive, but make sci-fi or futuristic Agrabah from Aladdin.
My compliments.
I would go to see the exterior facade look like old style, Arabic buildings, but inside it is a completely modernized, beautiful house. That would be cool. It's a great way of embracing your culture and your history and bringing it into the modern era. Instead of just like, yeah, make a generic looking house. Who cares? No, have you seen old Middle Eastern buildings? The lattice work on the windows and stuff, it is beautiful. I would love to see that. Even fancier versions, I love that kind of stuff. I don't need to see a McMansion. McMansions suck. They're boring. Alright, we got rewards from the Holy Ordos. I don't really care. Keep chugging along here. Seeing a whole lot of nothing here. Why does it keep moving these into this pool now? Because this isn't full. Now I have to go over to here. I should really purge that at some point. We'll knock that out right now. just leave the purples. Alright. And that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.